I will read today a couple of texts from the so-called Zodiac messages, a compilation of messages received by a Christian medium called Miss Winifred Moyes between 1921 and 1957, and they are in care of Greater World Foundation. One can download them for free from the internet. So here is the first book that they published. And in these books, you find not only messages coming from this character called Zodiac, who is self-described to be one of the Pharisees, the old Pharisees in the temple that have been converted by the Lord 2000 years ago, but also various messages from other personalities that lived in that period, including some of the apostles and the saints following the Lord, including some of the famous women from the Bible, including the Lord's mother, Mary. And I want to confess that when I first read the title of these messages, The New Revelation, I, being a believer in the new revelation of Jesus Christ through Jacob Lorber and Gottfried Meyerhofer, I was very much determined to prove to myself that this is a hoax, like many, many other that call themselves a new revelation, or not even. They're pretending to be messages from God. But no matter how much I tried to debunk these writings, I was absolutely unable to do it, because it appeared to me that they are in perfect convergence, in perfect harmony with what we know from the Bible, what we know from the New Revelation. And more than that, they inspire the love and the incredible humility that one may expect from such high angels of God, like these people must be today, or at the time when these messages have been given. So again, I'm just going to read the messages of Mary, and then I'm going to go further and read messages from Mary Magdalene and the two sisters of Lazarus, Mary and Martha, and just leave them be for everybody's comprehension and discernment. Hopefully the heart will have the final word in this. Again, I'll start with this. Mary, the mother of our Lord. Sisters and brothers, it is one you know by name full well. Yet I hesitate to give that name, for I feel within me that perchance it may cast some little barrier between you and that which is myself, between the love I bring and crave to take in return. A simple woman I was upon the earth plane. Many mistakes I made. How little understood I concerning my world, or the knowledge which it held. It was the daily task, the tending of those I loved, and the holding on to the peace which I connected with a radiant one, angel, who spake to me and directed us to my lot. It is Mary, the child who was honored above all by that which was entrusted to her. Think not that as I stand before you, what else is in my mind but humility, and that which you name much consciousness of all that I lacked. How little in my childhood days did I anticipate that which followed. Oh, forget not that I speak to you as a simple mother, as one who, when on earth, made grievous mistakes through the ignorance which held her mind, yet one who was deemed worthy to suffer for her God, one who was honored by that which you name, a broken heart. It has been ordained that I speak to you, sisters and brothers in love, as to the sacred one who was in my life. Yet how can I put into words, at this late date, the little things, the cares, the misgivings, the anxieties, and the anguish which followed? Rather would I narrate that which was my child, and yet not my child. I sought to protect his steps. I cared for that which clothed the body. Yet, at times, it seemed that I stood without a chamber, a stranger trembling to enter in, for he that was there was mine, and yet not mine. That one so dear belonged to God. As I speak, so remembrance like a mighty torrent pours over me, and I am back again upon the earthen floor, thinking. My fingers fly fast. I am weaving the one-piece garment which my Lord was to wear. And as I work, so sunshine and shade follow one another so fast that I can scarce rejoice ere the tears fall from my eyes. Yet, in the drying of the tears, so the sunshine comes again, that inner sunshine which had its source in a world far from the earth. That garment I weaved with my fingers, for the Holy One would give that which he wore to others, with ne'er a thought for himself, and mother-like I planned how I might hold the Sacred One to a promise to keep that which I had put together, and to give it not to another. Thus thought I, and it seems as yesterday. With my hands I will put together that which will protect. Then I will go to my son, and out of his love for me, because my hands provided, so I will exact the promise that it shall remain upon his body, and thus protect him from the chills. So simple, so like that which you yourselves would seek to do. The loved one, regardless of that which was all important in the kind which was our own, that one gave of his garments all that was of worth, gave it to clothe another, and oft with tears and with an aching heart, I saw him loosen the sandals from his feet, passing them on to the crippled one, the beggar by the wayside, donning in place those which were rough and worn, placing the sacred feet forever on the hardest road of all. So, dear sisters, in your thought of Mary, think not of her as one of old and now enshrined in glory, but rather ponder on the mother who had a son who was not her son, the mother who stood without in understanding, yet always within in love, the mother who was to watch that which had been the babe in her arms, taken from her ne'er to return again. That was Mary, and as I stand here the roll of years has gone back. Strangely young I feel. That which was middle age is forgotten. I am a child again, questioning, timorous, praying for the patience to wait for a response. And now the bright one stands before me, trembling, terrified that some past misdeed has brought the punishment it deserved. I stand yet fall before the radiant form and receive that which was my greatest gift, the one time, the crucifixion. It seems to sever life itself. Again, the years have passed. I am surrounded by the women weeping and wailing. What is this? Soldiers are coming, and those I love are torn from me. The way of the cross, yeah. The way of the cross, but it leads to the Master himself. Oh, forget not my words. Let none deceive, let none betray. The way of the cross leads to the joy which has no end. Smiling upon us all, the Sacred One gives reassurance. Lovest thou me? Feed my lambs, feed my sheep. Little children, lovest thou me? The purpose has been served. I come again into your presence, and as the power is vouchsafed, so I will narrate little incidents of old. But I entreat you to expect not from Mary great discourse or eloquence of the tongue. Mary was a simple child, a simple woman, and as I stand before you, I see it was my simplicity that brought me all my gifts. Farewell. Yet take not that in a sense of separation. Where I am loved, there I am. Some call my name, My mother's heart responds. Others look to me for this and that, yet as they speak, one of the past alone I represent. This night, as a spirit of the present, I come into your midst, and I thank thee with a love beyond these feeble words, that in your hearts and minds Mary lives. Yes, Mary belongs to every age, every condition, as a sister, as mother to the race. Farewell, but oh, think of me with love, for love pours from my heart like an unquenchable stream. I yearn over humanity, and the great God of all has given me the gift of mothering each one. Farewell. And another message from Mary, the mother of our Lord. It is Mary. You call me the mother, and once again I come into your presence to speak to you as to that which touched my life. Dear sisters and brothers, we are so akin in our experiences, although in that far off time to you, there was much that life held which is absent now. I would speak to you as to that one whom I regarded as my son, and as I stand here once more, the child lies in my arm. I never wearied of gazing into his sweet eyes, and as he looked at his mother, so gladness and sorrow filled my heart. For I remember the bright one who stood before me, and I knew that that which was my child was only land, and the time would come when I must give him back to God. Oh, I think you will understand and can enter into my humble life. There was in the home, as you have been told, not only lack of things necessary for the feeding of the body, but for the due nourishment of the mind, and oft, as night fell, and I went through that which was my store, I wondered, as I counted those that had to be fed, whether there was that which would keep the child, free from want. Oh, I speak not in disparagement of those others that I brought into physical life, but the child would not think of himself and oft was passed over because of that. But I would take the sadness from me, for it is against the will of God. I would speak of happier times when my son, now grown to nearly man's estate, would come to me as the shadows fell and teach me out of the wisdom that was within. And again, the joy and the sorrow swept over me like a rain. I looked into his eyes, and the shadow of the unknown future blotted out the sweet present, but that too was against the will of the divine. And now I pass from that to another scene. We are all together. My birthday has been celebrated with a joyous gathering of my friends. I am leaning against the portal of my humble door. I look over that which lies before me, and across the sky there seems a flight of angels. I turn me to my son. What means this? And he answers me, has forgotten, mother mine, the shepherds and the angel throng? And again, the sadness and the joy sweep over me. That was his birth. What means it? Is it another birth into the life to come? And so my life. I tell thee this to show how little faith was mine, how my heart was troubled, yet the gift of sunshine was all around. And I pray you each one, for I love you well, to take cheer by Mary's lot, to rise to higher things that she could do, so bound, so ignorant concerning the love of God, and say to yourself, that one, she wept and mourned in the silence of the night. I will do better. I will stretch out and hold fast to God, and the shadow shall be no more, for faith will have taken the place of doubt. I feel constrained to speak to each one in turn, yet this is not the Father's will, for did I undertake so great a task, then, perchance, those others who read my words and the many more who cherish my name because of the honor that was mine, these might feel that my love could have been wider, for to us the personal must stand aside. Love to me is as the Master taught, and I seek to mother the world, to go to my sister here and to a child there and gather them. Now I'm going to read the message of Mary Magdalene from the same zodiac messages. So now, Mary Magdalene. Sweet sisters, it is one that you know well by name, yet I hesitate to give it, for it seems to me that perhaps you would wish it were another. But I am constrained to present it to you and to ask for your love. It is the one you name Mary Magdalene, and I join myself to you openly forever and forever. In that long past, the women were, so it would seem to you, crushed by the rules and the approachment of the mind. And it was to me in that far-off time that we were almost as the dogs. Yes, and the rebellion stirred within. I looked upon those who were our controllers, and I saw much in them which was weak indeed. And because there was that in my adornment and my body which appealed to some, I found that through that possession I could control my controllers. And so the damage was done. This night, in this quiet atmosphere, I find myself walking in the fields. The sun, as you do not understand it, is shining upon me. The world is beautiful, yet it is leprosy underneath. My heart and my mind, they wage a battle. That which is attractive to the eye, it has even like a rope captured my desires. But my heart cannot rest, for I have seen one who is different, unlike, oh so unlike, and thus the battle goes on. And then, dear sisters, the scene is changed. Oft did I creep amongst the crowd close to the Holy One, and as I listened, so horror fell upon me. I am unclean, but the eyes of love, they rested upon me, stemming the anguish, yet quickening it to stem it again. Once more, the scene is changed. It is the morn of that which you name Calvary. And through those awful hours, the women with their sufferings were crucified again and again. Oh, you can understand that this body of mine, with its horrors and its beauty, how gladly would I have nailed it to the cross instead. Ah, we may fall far, but beneath our folly, the woman's heart remains the same. Thou canst understand. I know thou canst understand. Every drop of blood in my body would I have shed for the one who did all for me. And that was my punishment. Could a more terrible punishment have been conceived? Ah, the woman's hearts respond to this. The mother's hearts echo the anguish which was mine. In those awful hours of Calvary, Mary was on the cross as well. Sweet sisters, it was not in my mind to speak of this as I came to greet you, yet naught happens in this little center against the will of the divine. Methinks it is to make the link between us, to show you something that was in the soul of the poor foolish woman of an ancient time, to show you that the love which could so transform her is a love that can transform the world. For was I not as the world, and had not the earth fastened upon me in its most terrible form? But his love has washed me clean. And even in that early morn, when the Master greeted me as the child of his that I longed to be, in that early morn, so that was laid upon my shoulders, which I should carry forever and ever. The yoke, on the one side love, and on the other understanding. And so thus equipped by the Christ who is and was our God, I have passed through strange and lonely places. Even on this little earth have I brought the waters of life to the parched and dying, and in those plains which you scarce can understand, so Mary with her gifts, through her follies, has been able to work for God. Brother, Mr. Gregory, you can understand, and God has given you the twofold mind for a special purpose. Take through me from the Holy One this guidance, The twofold mind not only is a sign that the Spirit is released, but the twofold mind is for that missionary work which one and all, now or in the days to come, must undertake if they love Christ. Remember, brother, the twofold mind during the physical experience is a gift beyond all price. And now, though I fain would speak of many things, I must pass from here. But the other Marys are here this night, and they ask me to speak for them as woman to woman. They entreat you not to forbid their presence, for they long to tell you something of that which is in their hearts. The cross which was the spiritual recognition between us in that far-off day, I mark you with a cross, and henceforth we are as one. Farewell. Mary, the sister of Lazarus, Mary of Bethany. She says, "Sweet sisters, it is one that you know well by name, yet I hesitate to give it, for it seems to me that perhaps you would wish it were another. But I am constrained to present it to you and to ask for your love. It is the one you name Mary, the sister of Lazarus, and in my hands I bring with me that which would seem to you as a tiny key. It shall illustrate my message as I continue. Very often, as you talk together, the women of that far-off time pass in and out amongst you, drawn by your talk of the one they love so well. My own portion seems to you perchance one which was to be envied in the right way. I was permitted to hear from the Sacred One great and mighty truth. In that little home, removed from the noise and the turmoil of the city, we were privileged to listen to our Lord and, moreover, to minister to his needs. My sister Martha perhaps finds greater favor to your mind. She was, so it appears to you, cut off from that same free intercourse which was mine. She bid me pass on a sister's love to you all, and in the time to come she herself will explain, for I would speak of that which is nearer than all to your heart. Curious it seems to me as I stand here. The garments of the earth, they are as cumbersome weight. The body it feels as an armor, which is stiff and unyielding. Even the bones of the face seem to me so long free from that which binds, as though they compress my thoughts and stem my deepest feelings. Yet I do scatter the precious moments by this idle talk. In that far-off time to you, we lived lives curiously unlike your own. There was much which had to be accomplished by methods which would appear arduous in these so easy times. The appliances were few. That which you name machinery was, in your sense, unknown, and we worked in a manner which would have seemed strangely complicated and laborious compared to that which appertains today. So my memory goes back as to the baking, as to the preparing, as to the seeking of those materials which could be converted into use, and when the Master came, there was much ado. Only the best was for such as he. But in the turmoil of planning and contriving, he stepped into our presence, and peace fell upon me as a great cloak which encompassed me round about. Thereafter, I could do naught but like a little animal follow at his heels. The world and the things of the world, that which sustained the body, the meal and the wine, for myself I cared not, yet for him it was, the best for him. Gentle sisters, bear with me, for the memories they crowd so fast, and I seek to pick out here and there that which shall convey to you something of the atmosphere of that little home. The Master, when he came amongst us, thought not of those things which we had so lovingly prepared. His tired body and his weary mind, it seemed to me that he forgot, or rather that remembrance was taken from him. Oft I wept and sorrow assailed my heart because of the weariness which followed him from place to place. And like a true woman, I mourned over all those things which he went without. Canst thou understand, the woman of that far-off time, their love was not as your love today. We were very humble in our love, and there was naught that any one of us would not have done for the man we loved. And for the Messiah, we would have laid our bodies upon the ground so that he could walk over them and save his feet from dust. I put this into words, for it is hard for your minds to grasp, and yet he of all was the one who put us in a place of honor. So little I could do, for that strange stifling of effort held me in a vice while he was beneath our roof. I longed to do, but I did not know what to do or how to do. Sisters, as a little stray lamb, I huddled at his feet, drawn by a love impossible to be described in words. And he understood. Canst thou understand? And when he passed from us, then this anguish was always my portion, his disregard of comfort, of the needs of the body, of the necessities of the day, and still more the necessities of the night. How little he recked that which he carried, or that which he went without. We pressed upon him the little comfort at our command, but we knew that when the first beggar was passed, lo, the beggar would be filled and the master would go hungry. And so it was with his cloak and that which was essential, as you would say, to protect him from the nightly chills. The master thought not of himself. Indeed, he seemed to forget he was in a land where fever was rampant and where there were enemies of the body of either side. So, dear sisters, feeling once more that sense of failure and the inability to do or to think, I have put into words so bare, so incomplete, something of those days of ours upon the earth plane. One thought alone I would that your minds would hold, that of the master who could not think of himself, for all his thoughts were upon others, their needs, their necessities, their comfort, and the reassuring of their friends. As he passed from our door, and I watched that loved form fading from my sight, tears gushed from my eyes, and in my parting is pain indeed. Rumors were on all sides. The enemies, they were thick and complex in their working, and the master passing from us seemed as though he entered into the lion's pit itself. Next time we meet in this most intimate way, I will relate some little portion of the conversations which he had with us at the close of day. For what is mine is thine, and the love you have for the Savior of us all, this love, dear sisters, has opened many gates, and naught is closed to you concerning the tenderness he showed to us in that far-off time. We meet, we of yesterday, and you of today, but the past is past, and the present is a symbol of that great linking up when the body is laid aside. For in this room tonight, there is a gathering even as of that which you name the Holy Supper. And each one speaks to the other, yet as they speak, so the power is sent to those conditions where, as yet, the beloved is unknown. Forgive me, dear sisters, for this so holy message. The name of our dear Lord brings over me, as in those days of old, that sense of inability to collect my thoughts or to put into action that which I so long to do. But we are linked together, and upon us all there lies the chain of office, and on that which you name the end, the key it rests. I hold it in my hand, the key of effort and holy desire which opens not only conditions, but the hearts and minds of those who have gone on before. Farewell, yet think of me with love and with excuse, for though in much I failed, my God and my Savior was all in all to me, and it was love which held my actions, and it was his love which understood. Farewell. This is Martha of Bethany speaking. I pray you give me a welcome. It is the one you name Martha, and I come at last. Oh, sisters and brothers, we have much in common. In this little home, long since I have found a place in that which is your own vibrations. So Martha has worked and prayed, has healed and soothed, yet ever under the Master's direction. Oh, bear with me, for I have much to say. In that far off time when the story of Martha was narrated, Martha had much to learn. So methinks I will speak as to that far off time. The treasured one whom we named Mother, and the Lord and Master of the house, they had been gathered to their fathers, and we three lived alone. I, as the elder, was even as a mother to the one I loved so well. You name her Mary, and that name is blessed forever. Oh, think you as to that little home of ours, the brother that we loved, and this same one to womanhood grown, employed with much, full of those considerations regarding things material that would not be denied. And the sister, like a beautiful flower, growing up beneath our gaze. So well remember I, that it seems as yesterday that I baked and prepared the food for all, that I weaved the garments, and that I bid my sister brush her hair. Yet even as yestereven it seems to me, for I indeed was as a mother, yet motherhood was never mine. In that far off time, duty and rules and customs, they governed our actions, they controlled our minds. And had I neglected to teach the flower, Mary, to weave and bake and sweep, then the condemnation of the woman would have been my lot. Idleness was a deadly sin. The shirking of the daily task, that indeed was a fault which must be checked. Canst understand? So I bid you think of Martha thus. Many responsibilities, it seems, at the time rested upon my shoulders, and the thought came that mother and father, the two combined, to the flower must be my part. Yet love, like an ocean, held my heart and mind for those two who were my all. And the Master understood. Yet the Master checked me in the anxiety which held my mind. This night I am bid to unfold that which has not been passed on to any before. Today passes, and I stand out in that which you would call the garden of the house. Yet it was land open to all, but numbered amongst our possessions. And there Martha stood and thought. I remember well the consciousness of impending doom, and how sorrows held my heart, and I wondered what would happen to the flower if I no longer had a place in that which we called the home. And thinking thus, I heard another Master's step, yet he was there. And in those moments of solitude, he opened the future and showed me something of the past. I, brothers and sisters, my experiences were to give me that gift named the twofold mind. Canst understand? Mine to be the guardian, mine to be the worker, yet a woman I, and frail in many ways. And as he spake, so I saw before my gaze that which you name renunciation. Yet it was even as a plant long since barren, which had broken into leaf and blossom once again. Oh, strange it seems. Upon me now I feel the gracious eyes, the tender look, the understanding of the test, and thenceforward regret and rebellion died within. And Martha, a woman, yet a man, took the hard way which was the glad way, for the Master went in front. And another message from Martha. Dear sisters and brothers, I come once more. It is Martha, and this gift tonight is for the drawing in of other links. When I was in your presence before, the threefold mind, 9th of July 1927, a promise was made under the guidance of the Master himself. It was that I should narrate in simple words that which was said to me as together we looked out over the fields. Perchance thou wilt recollect. I said that loneliness had seized my mind, that which you name regret tugged at my heart. And as I stood beyond the house, so the Master came and stood beside this so unworthy one. And the Master said, Why grievest thou, little sister? And I answered that love had seemed to pass me by. He smiled upon me. I can feel it now. And then he said, This is the future. And before my eyes rose up a little scene. I knew not whence it came, but I will this night chronicle it for your enlightenment. Another Martha and another realm. The sweet flowers were there. The dryness and the dust so linked with my home was absent. I looked me into a fresh and growing field where the flowers bloomed not for a day and then vanished, but where there were springs feeding the young life and giving both the green and the blossoms a beauty I had never seen before. What is this, O Master? And the gracious one replied, Thy home, prepared and waiting for thee. And I looked me again, and my heart leapt with joy, for there was another Martha, a sweeter, more beautiful woman. It seemed to me myself, and yet not myself. And around that woman the children played, and in her eyes there was peace and sweet content. I turned me to the Master. But how can this be so? And he answered me thus, and I pass it on for those who read my words. By giving up, so out of that which is laid aside, in another world there is that prepared which shall bring sweet recompense in very truth. Such were the words he spake, portrayed through the language of your country. And from that time, Martha was a changed woman. I went me into the city, and I looked not with envy or longing at the women of my time who had their little families clinging about their garments. But even as I watched them, so the picture arose and brought its comfort. And Martha went along the way of persecution, safe, through the protection of that which had been shown. These are but simple words. The women of my time, they were not skilled in speech, yet we were used to pass on that which the Holy One had instructed. And so, my little message to the world of a day so changed is that by the giving up, so is drawn together that which is the heart's and spirit's desire. Oh, shut me not out, for having seen love and held it fast, so from within the love pours out. And I entreat that each one, sisters and brothers, should not pass me by. Think you what it is to us to be but a memory of the past, and then in this way, so simple and so sweet, to be drawn back into a living being, full control, someone who feels and understands, someone who hopes and prays and loves. Oh, what a gift! The past has opened, and we come back into your consciousness, knit by the tie of Christ, and each one claims the other. No one is a stranger. No one is unloved. Out of the past, with new life, so we are welcomed by those of today. You cannot know, you cannot grasp what this means to us. It is a gift above all price to be alive in the memories of those we love so well. Farewell, yet I long to stay. The links are many, and I draw them in and hold them fast. For once we have seen love, so the hunger for love goes on and on. We must have love, or we fade by the way. The little flower, Mary, is present, and she sends her greeting to each and every one. Thus is the purpose served, and thus the blessing so richly descends. Farewell.